Greetings and salutations. It's your man CD, the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. And I'm out here in the Southern California sunshine, making my way through this quarantine like everyone else. Hopefully you're all home, safe, and healthy. I want to do a quick shout out to Carl and Anthony, who are the leaders of the A to the K WrestleTalk podcast. You guys can watch that on YouTube, listen to it on Spotify, etc., etc. And I just want to say I appreciate their support. The guys at AEW, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for fans like you guys. And I'm sure Carl and Anthony feel the same way about all of you that listen to A to the K WrestleTalk. So keep listening to A to the K WrestleTalk. You guys stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you later.
We'll move on to another 2.5. No spoilers. In NXT. I do joke, actually, it was not a bad week for NXT as far as, and I don't know if I'm just getting into it a bit more, so I'm starting to relate, yeah, relating to Loomis and such,
Fucking hell, if you're relating to Dexter Loomis, then...
relate was not the right word. I'm starting to sort of build up a bit of knowledge of these characters, a bit of history with these characters, because I'm not just coming at it and going, why are these two fighting? What's going on here? So maybe that's some of it, but that being said, I think there was some good matches. A lot of it was sort of built in around this cruiserweight tournament, which is still underway. But we start the night with Gargano versus Djokovic. I think I'm saying that right. And it wasn't a bad match, and I think Djokovic's definitely got something. He's definitely got a bit of star power there. I think he's got a good future. But this match was there to serve Gargano as a heel. Do you know what I mean? So it's that heel couple, because he was there with Candice LeRae as well, pulling some heel antics, like exposing the turnbuckle at one point. And Djokovic naturally had to take the loss. But I don't think it was a bad match. There's not a lot for me to say other than it furthered Gargano as a heel, as much as he's not very, he's still almost too babyface to be a heel in some senses. And Djokovic, despite taking the loss, he still looked good, and you can still see that he's a talented guy. In a technical sense, they were good together in the ring. So yeah, not a bad way to open the night. How do you feel about the match, Carl?
Yeah, similar, to be fair. I still don't buy Gargano as a heel, and I struggle just seeing him that way. And I feel even worse for Candice, because she's even more of a babyface than Gargano was, so it just seems weird to pair with them as heels. Yeah. I don't buy it. So it just
that's the thing. And if they're going to be a heel in any way, they're doing it the right way, because it's that almost like pompous, arrogant kind of way, isn't it? But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because they're trying to push them as heels through resistance because people like them. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel similar, like as I do with Bayley. Like I feel like it's just wrong. It just doesn't work.
That's the thing. It doesn't feel right.
Good guys, just keep them good guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because like people who it doesn't feel natural for them to be bad guys. They keep plugging it and like, no, we're going to push him as a heel. John Cena spent fucking decades where he should have been a fucking heel, and they would not turn him. Baffling. Absolutely baffling. Anyway, so we move on to the first match of furthering the Cruiserweight tournament in Tozawa versus Gallagher. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's what you expect from a Cruiserweight match. It was reasonably fast-paced. It was decent technically. I've just realised in my notes I've put Yozawa, which is a boss nickname for him. And, I feel a little bit sorry for good old Gentleman Jack there, because he's basically just jobbing out these days, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame, really. I'm quite a big fan of Jack.
Yeah. So he's different, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's a bit goofy. You'll never see him he belongs to be the Cruiserweight division or to the mid card in that sense. Or I'd fairly give him an IC run at some point, maybe, if they built him up. You can never see him in the main title picture, but he's good, isn't he? He's got a fun little gimmick, and I think they've changed it recently, haven't they, with all the fucking tattoos and that. But anyway, it's a shame. He just seems to be. I mean, what is it worse when you're a jobber on a developmental show? Is that like even worse? I don't know. Like, does he aspire to job on Raw or SmackDown? Like, is the jobber ranking, Carl? Like, is the top jobber when you job out on WrestleMania? I don't know. I'm intrigued.
Maybe.
Any jobbers who want to let me know. I want to know your hierarchy now. So I've not a lot to say on that. I don't know if you have, Carl, but it was a further match in the tournament. Tozawa took the win. Fair enough. I think he needs to win his next one to sort of for it not to result in like a bit of a three-way stalemate. But probably the right decision, but it's a shame with the jobbing. That's the only thing I need to say on that, really. Then we had a match between Xia Li and Chelsea Green. Now, Chelsea is quite green, to be fair. So that being said, no, I say it in jest because of her last name, but she is, certainly came across a lot greener than Xia Li. But Xia Li has got quite a history in the Indies as well, and was clearly the sort of the more experienced in the ring. That being said, she was putting her over quite well, and they worked quite well together. It was one of them where logically the win would go to Xia Li, but then we get this distraction from Aaliyah, and then I'm not sure how to feel about that, because Green took the win based on this distraction, but it seems like the further in this feud that's been going on for quite a while with Xia Li and Aaliyah. So it's like, well, are we not done with that? Are we returning to that? Where's that going? But it seems like that's what's happening with it. I don't know. I mean, have you seen much of their? Because again, I'm fairly new to NXT, so I've not seen a lot of history on it. But I believe they've been feuding for quite a bit, in a similar sense to Gargano and Tommaso.
No, not really anything that I can think of. To be fair,
no,
I
that's
think
fair.
yeah, it was one of them. My kind of NXT glory days were like a lot kind of earlier than this by the sounds of it. So yeah, it still feels quite.
No, I think they're fairly recent, but I think it's like one of them situations where, almost like in a Corbin situation, where you're like, it's done, stop doing it, it's done, let it go.
That's just Corbin in general, though, isn't it? It's done.
Yeah.
Just stop putting him on telly, fuck him off.
Exactly. Yeah, it's done. It's over. But yeah, so it was a good match with a bit of a screwy finish, and this build to this feud that might be a bit overdone at this point. Not bad, but it's made it to me notes, so that's got to be a good sign, surely. But the next one, we had a nice little display from Karrion Kross. I'm intrigued to know how you feel about this one, because I believe there's been a little bit of like moaning in the sense of like, oh, this match wasn't long enough, right? For me, I think it's a good tease for Karrion. Do you know what I mean? Or I don't really sit well with Karrion Kross for Killer Kross, right? He came out. It was a big entrance with his missus. That was quite enjoyable. He was up against Leon Ruff. He's up against Jobby Jobson. I don't know.
I feel like Vince or someone went, oh yeah, just put him in against that Leo Rush guy, and he's like, oh no, we fired him. It's like, oh, just call him Leon Ruff then. You know what I mean? Close enough.
I was like, who's the next guy on the list? But yeah, it was exactly what it needed to be. The match didn't last long. It was a monster squash. He got the win with the submission, so he looked really fucking dominant in that sense. And for me, I enjoyed it. You don't need too much of him just yet. You're going to build him up as a beast, and as a scary character. You don't need to go, let's have a really long match to show you how good he's in the ring. The reality of it is, we know how good he is in the ring. Anyone who's gone, who the fuck's this guy, and looked into him knows he's good in the ring. So we don't need a 15+ minute match with some jobber. Didn't need to happen. So I was actually quite happy with the length of it, but I know a lot of people were like, oh, it wasn't enough, because they've been building up to him for a while, and I guess it felt like an anticlimax. But for me, it just felt like they're still building. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, for me, squash matches exist for a reason, and there's circumstances where they are appropriate and they are done well. And for me, this was fine. Like, literally, this guy, we know, you know what I mean? If he's going to return against fucking Leo Rush's fucking cousin or whoever the fuck he is, you know what I mean? You're not expecting him to lose or anything kind of bad to happen. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'd understand it if they brought him back against someone of like some notoriety and it was like a quick match, but it was always going to be a squash as soon as you saw it. So I don't know why people are kicking off about it. Yeah. It's fine.
It's like kicking off about a Sheamus match against Dave Smith or whatever the fuck it was this week. Exactly. It just, the minute you see who he's in the ring with, you go, that's a squash. It is what it is. So I was perfectly happy with it. I think it was like, at the end of the day, there's no story really built up with Killer Kross just yet. So we don't need to have a big long match with, like, I don't know, Velveteen Dream or someone. Do you know what I mean? It just needs to be what it is. He's coming in and he's going to start building himself up from there. Brill. Yeah. I was happy with it.
Yeah, same.
And then we move on to Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai. I think they fucked this up, Cal. I'll be honest with you. Don't get me wrong. It was an enjoyable match. They're both good in the ring. They both work good with each other. They're both technically gifted. But they ended up having to do a screwy finish with the DQ. So basically, Charlotte got. I'm telling you, like you haven't seen it, but Charlotte gets the DQ, right? So technically, the win goes to Io Shirai without it actually being a win. Do you know what I mean? And I think they've done that because, well, she can't lose a title, but they don't want to make Io Shirai look a tit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they don't want either of them to look weak, and they don't want Charlotte to lose a belt. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to do some sort of fucking about. So it ends up with the DQ, and then Charlotte trying to take it too far, trying to do the figure eight on the ring post as she has done previously. I think with was it Shotzi or no, the one she did last week, Xylee, I think. But this time we had the run in from Rhea Ripley. Now at first I was like, well, are they going to continue that feud between her and Charlotte? Surely. Maybe, I don't know. But then there was a bit of back and forth with her and Io Shirai, who was like, basically, what you're running in for, essentially, like, don't need help. So are they going to push them to a bit of a feud before anything happens with Charlotte? I don't actually know where they're going with it. But that was probably the only thing that sort of saved the screwy finish for me, because I think, well, you kind of box yourself into a corner with this match because you didn't really want either of them to lose, but someone had to. And I wasn't a big fan of the DQ finish. But I don't know. I'm quietly hopeful that they might move into a triple threat maybe for the title between the three of them. I don't know. That would be a good one. Be a bit different too. What do you reckon?
I mean, I don't know. It felt very flat for me. Like they'd been building this up for ages. You know, I expected it to not end up in some sort of screwy finish. So, you know, similar echoes to you really were. I don't know. I was just a bit meh. It's very underwhelming. I thought I wasn't very happy with it, and you know, it's nice to see Rhea Ripley back and stuff like that. But
yeah, it turns out she didn't get deported. Who knew?
Apparently not. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it just felt a bit meh.
I mean, would you be opposed to some sort of triple threat between them?
I mean, if they build it up well enough, I think if it's just a case of, oh, well, Rhea came back and, you know, like if they did move to it straight off the back of this, then, well, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, yeah, you couldn't just jump straight into it. But, yeah, it's a fair point. But no, I just, to be honest, I just want to see something more interesting than Charlotte against another NXT person. Like, just paint by numbers at this point, really.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Again, wasn't a bad match, just a shame about the finish. Then we move on to another match in the Cruiserweight tournament of Kushida versus Jake Atlas. I mentioned it for the sake of people being aware the match happened. There's not a lot of investment for me in the other than obviously Drake Maverick. There's not a lot of investment in the tournament for me. They're always somewhat fun to watch because they're a bit more fast paced, a bit more high flying. Typically with Cruiserweight matches. Again, these were decent in the ring. They're both technically good, and it was very much, as I said, it was very much that sort of cruiserweight style of match. And Kushida took the finish with the submission, so he's furthering on, I guess, in the tournament. So yeah, not bad, but I certainly haven't got a lot to say on it, Carl, unless you have.
No, it was a match. It happened.
Yeah, certainly was, and certainly. Now we move on to Cameron Grimes versus Denzel Dejanay.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that guy. Now, obviously, everyone remembers Denzel from his stellar debut on SmackDown against Sheamus. Do we? I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so he's a man known for being squashed is about to get squashed, right? So, and that's basically what happens. It's a bit of a weird situation where it wasn't an out-and-out squash. He got some offense in, certainly more than he did against Sheamus. But Grimes took the win. And then Grimes... Basically, Balor was sort of mouthing off at the podium saying about he doesn't know who attacked him, but he's going to find out and he's going to get them, you know. Which, okay, fair enough. He's back and he had absolutely nothing to offer as the mystery of what happened to him, really, other than he doesn't know who attacked him, but he'll find out. Yeah, that's usually how stories pan out. And then Grimes taunts him and Balor lays him out. So the sort of match really just said it was quick squash for Grimes, so Grimes looked good. Then he got laid out by Balor, so Grimes looked bad. Don't know what they're going for with that. Are they going to go to an actual match between the two of them? Maybe, because it seemed like they wanted him to look reasonably strong, but then Balor lay him out. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Balor's just floundering in NXT. Like I don't know. If you think back to like Universal title Balor and even Intercontinental title Balor. Like I don't know, he just is wasted for me.
Well, for me, I think they've slightly been a victim of COVID-19, haven't they? Because they're having to push back the whole Walter thing now because they can't have him flitting around to the UK and he is where he is at the moment and they can't have people traveling around and they're going to try and keep him on there. But that being said, roll with it, react to it, do something with it. Like this, who did it kind of bullshit, right? If it ends up being Rikishi, I'm going to be so pissed off. And if he did it for The Rock, I'll be even more pissed off.
Oh, I really want him to do that now, just for the lols.
But I don't know. I kind of feel a bit sorry for them because that's where they were going. They were heading towards this feud with Walter, and it's months and months and months away now in theory. But I don't know. It could be a good match between him and Grimes. It just seemed a bit odd. It's like to go from a squash to getting laid out. Just like I honestly don't recall seeing that before. Like okay. I know how squashes work, so it doesn't mean he's like unstoppable at this point, but to be laid out like seconds after is a bit weird. It what it did. And then we move on to the main event, which I'll be honest, I'm glad they went ahead with it in a way, but given the current controversy around the Velveteen Bad Dream, I was surprised they went ahead with it because they usually try and hide these people until this is all done and dusted. For those who don't know what happened with Velveteen Dream, well, where the fuck have you been? We mentioned it in our last video. Go and listen to that one. And now, basically, he's there's been some suggestions of alleged sexual conduct with a minor, or illicit pictures with a minor. So there's outside in the real world, there's a lot of sort of controversy, and there's no real sort of. I don't think they've got to the bottom of whether. I think it's currently been investigated. He's adamant, obviously, that he hasn't done these things, but nevertheless, it kind of made me think, are they going to sort of pull this match? But they didn't. So the main events of the night was Adam Cole versus the Velveteen Dream, and with plenty of shenanigans, Carl. Shenanigans galore. Do you want shenanigans? We've got them.
They love shenanigans.
So now, naturally, it felt organic in a sense because Adam Cole's there, so who's going to try and mess around? Who's going to try and interrupt? We've got the Undisputed Era. We've got Roderick Strong and the other guy, right? But we also had Dexter Lumis, which, okay, I believe they must have some sort of affiliation with each other now. Or he's just gunning for Strong, I don't know. But he sort of prevented the Undisputed Era getting involved. But then there was this whole sort of shenanigan with it where the referee got knocked out, so Velveteen Dream should have got the win, but the ref was out cold at that point. And then I'm going to not say the finish properly because I can't remember the name of Cole's finish, but he super kicked him, done his finisher, and got the pin because the ref had woke up by then. So Cole took the win, but then it's done in one of them finishes where you go, it should have been Dreams. He should have got the title kind of thing. So there's a lot of screwing about going on, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's not like the earlier one with Charlotte where I was a bit annoyed with it. It's like you kind of expect it because of the he is in a faction and that's what they do. They look out for each other, don't they? So it makes a bit of sense in that sense. And yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a good match between the two. I don't think they're done with it. It seems they're going to be building that up a little bit more because he never got the finish. Velveteen's got something he can argue with on that, hasn't he? So they're obviously going to try and go for another bout with that. And hopefully we get to see it. But that was NXT for the week. It was. And I say about joking earlier, it was still a 2.5 for me. It was good, wasn't great. I'd be more inclined to give this a 3 than I would Raw, if I'm honest. But 2.5, I'm sticking with.
See, for me this was a 2 because I don't know. It felt quite lacking in terms of. I feel like again this was a classic example of a lot happened, but not very much happened. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of matches. There was a lot of shit in there, but like literally nothing really progressed as such. Like the schmoz with the Charlotte and Rhea Ripley thing is like, okay, so that's going to carry on. The shenanigans in the main event is like, okay, that's going to go on. I don't know. It just felt very meh. Like you could have quite easily missed this and then tuned in next week and everything else will still be the same storylines. So, you know what I mean? So I don't know. 2 for me.
No, you make a very good point. It's all, a lot of it was to further things. So it's like, if you miss this week, you're not going to miss much of anyone's feuds, really. yeah, I'll take your point on that.